we already know I'm not the best of drivers, so this analogy is not good for me because I'm still not a good driver. But I was thinking about it earlier today. I'm like, okay, nowadays kids will get their driver's license at 16 typically. That's when they usually will get it because that's the earliest age that you can get your license. You do months of driver's ed, you have to pass the test, and then you're on your own. Well, I remember after I first got my license, I still was not comfortable driving. Like, nobody wanted to ride in the car with me because I would freak out, especially if we were driving somewhere that I was not used to, that I didn't go every day. I would get really nervous because it was new. And I started thinking about how after some time, probably a couple months, even years for me, you drive so often that you zone out. Like, you get home and you're like, oh my gosh, I was so zoned. I don't even remember driving home.
Yeah.
Because you're so used to driving. You've had enough experience and enough practice. You're so used to it. And then you're not as nervous when you are driving in a new town. Just if, like, the longer you've been driving, the easier it becomes.
Yeah.
Well, it reminded me of your marketing. If you're a new business owner, it is uncomfortable at first. You're learning so many new things. You get in situations where it can be scary. Hell, you pop a tire or a couple of tires if you're like me.
Yeah.
So that's what I was thinking about. Like, it's when you first start driving, you're uncomfortable because it's new. You need the practice. You really do. It's the same thing with business and with marketing.
There's no doubt about it. In fact, when you first, I think when you first start driving, you kind of have tunnel vision, right? Yeah. You're like, okay, I'm focused on the road. But as you get more comfortable, okay, this is kind of how this works. I don't need to put a lot of effort. The car kind of stays like this. Now you start to you free your mind up to be aware of some of the things that are coming, where other cars coming from, what's behind me. And so it works the same way with marketing. You might start off one way. That's why we say get started is the most important thing. Because once you get in the game, then you can see. You can't see as a spectator. You can only see when you get in the game. Just like with driving, you start off one way, but then your senses and your understanding of your environment, now you're paying attention to multiple things at one time. And so you start to figure out, okay, this is how this works in totality. I got to know what's in front of me, in back of me, on the side of me, what is interacting with those people, how dangerous is, how fast am I going? What about people on the interstate? How can I try to understand what they might be doing? You try to anticipate other drivers. Same thing happens with marketing. You get started, and then ultimately you see what's working and you see what's not working. I got to make a left turn here. I got to make a right turn here. You only know that. That's what people don't understand. You can't see the game until you get in the game. So as a spectator, it looks one way, but when you get in the game, then you start to understand how the game really works. And that's why getting going, getting moving, testing fast, trying multiple different theories, because you're starting to get acclimated with all the components, all the pieces to the puzzle that go into whatever you're trying to accomplish.
And mistakes, or is what we like to say, they're not really mistakes because you learn something from them, just like with driving.
Yep.
Like, I got into a fender bender, I had to slam on my brakes. Luckily, I wasn't following the person in front of me too closely, so I didn't hit them, but the person behind me hit me. Yep. So now if I'm ever in that situation, not only am I slamming on my brakes, I'm looking at the car behind me to make sure they're not about to rear end me, because if they are, I'll gently veer off to the side. Yeah. You can anticipate a collision because you made that mistake in the past.
No doubt.
Just like with your marketing, you're like, okay, hold up, let's adjust this real quick so this can happen.
Yeah, you know what a train wreck looks like, and you know what making it home alive looks like. So you're able. The picture just becomes clearer the more you experience all of the different components, and you only. They say you can't know something that you haven't learned or know already. You only know what you have taken in. It's not something you've read in a book. You got to actually go put the reps in.
I want to take this to a different kind of little bit. I love the analogy part because I think it ties in really well. But one of the other things I think, especially even if you just started driving, or maybe you're driving in a new environment, what's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to, like, if you need to go to point A, point B, and you've never been there before, you're going to either get a map or you're going to use one of those cool things.
Yep.
That's just like defining your audience when you're doing your marketing. Understanding the path, having your goals, having all of those things set even before you start on that voyage is very, very important. I think that's part of it. I mean, that's what a seasoned driver will do that you can actually start doing ahead of time as far as preparing yourself to get more comfortable about getting behind the wheel. Will help you allocate some of these things. Maybe less mistakes will happen because you have those things in place. So I think that's really important with this analogy. I thought that made a lot of sense.
You got a roadmap.
Yep.
And you have a roadmap. It's the same thing. It's just a roadmap. One, you're going somewhere. One, you're doing something. it's still the same.
Yeah,
same.
always got to keep that destination in mind.
Yep.
You're not going to be a rookie forever, so listen to the vets now when we tell you it's going to be okay. You just got to hang in there.